Hey there, Star. You're glowing and you don't even realize it. Let me speak to you for a few minutes. You're the one who's been stabbed in the back so many times that you've forgotten what it feels like to lean on anyone without flinching. You're the one who stayed quiet while chaos screamed all around you. You've been underestimated, disrespected, and betrayed more times than you can count. But, oh, if only they knew what's happening behind the curtain. While you sat there wondering why people turned on you like flicking a switch, while you carried the weight of every rumor, every sideways glance, every fake smile, and every snake-like handshake, there was someone else watching. Someone with fire burning in their chest and your name carved into their spine. Someone who said, "Not this one. Not them. I won't let you." And they meant it. You may not have seen the battles being fought. You may not hear the war drums thundering beneath the floor, but while you doubted if you mattered to anyone, while your knees buckled from carrying burdens that were never yours to carry in the first place, someone else picked up a sword and has been cutting down your enemies one by one, quietly, methodically, and ruthlessly. Oh yes, the ones who laughed when you were low are stuttering now. The ones who whispered in corners, dragging your name through the dirt, are choking on their own lies. The ones who tried to erase you, humiliate you, and mock you like you were weak are finally realizing you were never alone. And the best part? You didn't have to clap back. You didn't have to break character. You didn't have to scream because someone else screamed for you. They bled in silence. They took the hits. They stared down your demons with eyes that didn't blink. Why? Because you are not ordinary. You are not disposable. You are not forgettable. You're a storm in disguise, and they saw it. They saw the real you. Behind the pain, behind the silence, behind the shattered smile, they saw something precious. And guess what? Precious things are protected. So while your enemies were throwing darts, someone else was building a wall behind your back. While they mocked your scars, someone else was loading truth like bullets. Now your haters are squirming. Their lies are falling apart. Their masks are cracking. The show is ending, and it's not the finale they expected. But you're still here, still rising, still glowing in ways they don't understand. Because people like you're a problem. You make cowards uncomfortable. You remind them of everything they'll never be. Resilient, loved, chosen. And let me tell you something even darker. The ones who betrayed you are haunted now. Haunted by the fact that you're not just surviving, you're being defended not by one person, but by energy, by presence, by karma itself. Because when your heart is pure, when your intentions are clean, when you walk through fire without letting the flames turn you bitter, the universe sends warriors to stand beside you. And they don't knock politely, they kick doors down. So maybe you don't see them. Maybe you don't know who they are. But somewhere out there right now, someone is standing up for you in rooms you've never even entered. Someone is dragging your name out of the mud and raising it like a flag. Someone is watching your enemies burn and letting them know this one is protected. This one is off limits. Isn't that wild? You thought you were alone, but baby, you're not. Have you ever wondered why your name keeps showing up in rooms full of people who swore they were done with you? Have you ever caught that sudden silence when you walk by, like your very presence is a mirror reflecting their guilt? That's not coincidence. That's not paranoia. That's the weight of your truth smashing through their lies. See, people thought they buried you. They thought they painted you as a villain, sold your name for laughs, and walked away without consequence. But oh, they forgot one thing. You don't have to fight dirty when you're protected by something deeper. Because someone's been tracking every false word they spoke. Someone's been watching them dance on your name. And now, they're yanking the rug out from under their fake power. It's ugly. It's slow. It's surgical. You might not hear the screams, but trust me, the silence around them is deafening. That's what happens when someone stands up for you so powerfully that the people who tried to play you get cornered by their own reflection. And I know what you're thinking. Why would anyone do that for me? Because you're the kind of soul that doesn't need to beg for loyalty. You breathe authenticity. You bleed integrity. You don't manipulate, lie, or scheme. You've been real from the start. Maybe too real for a world addicted to masks. So someone took notice. Someone saw how heavy you were walking and said, "I'll carry some of that. I'll take care of what they can't see." Not because you asked, not because you needed saving, but because when light walks through darkness, it leaves a mark on people who still have a conscience. And baby, you are that light. It moved someone to fight, and now they're in the shadows doing what you didn't even know needed to be done. They're checking your enemy so hard that your name is becoming a warning label to anyone who thinks about crossing you. Mess with them? Cool. Watch what happens to your reputation. And while your enemies try to save face, trying to pretend they're unbothered, behind the scenes they're falling apart. Their alliances are cracking. Their lies are unraveling. Their power is slipping away. All because someone saw you, the real you, and decided you were worth standing up for. People are walking away from them one by one because the truth has claws, and it's finally sinking its grip into their lies. So maybe you've been wondering why certain people suddenly went silent, why that one person stopped posting about you, or why another one got humbled out of nowhere. You didn't have to do a thing, but someone did. Someone stood in your absence and roared. Someone shattered their egos with nothing more than a whisper. Someone said, "You don't get to hurt them," and walk away like nothing happened. And that kind of justice, that kind of correction, it tastes sweet. But it's not about revenge. It's about restoring balance. It's about putting the power back where it belongs, with you. You don't need to fight for attention or scream just to be seen. The people who matter feel your presence before you even speak. So while your haters are losing their grip, you're gaining altitude. While they spiral into confusion, you rise into clarity. Every time they ask themselves, "How is this person still standing? Why won't they fold? Why are people still protecting them?" The answer remains the same. You were never weak. You were chosen. And the ones who tried to break you, they're just background noise in the story of your rise. Have you ever noticed how quiet your enemies get when the truth starts doing laps around their lies? They were loud when they thought you were isolated, bold when they assumed no one had your back. But then something shifted. The air changed. The spotlight they were using to expose you turned, and now it's shining on them. They're squinting, flinching, panicking under pressure they never expected. You didn't have to say a word because the energy changed before any explanation even appeared. That's what happens when you're divinely backed, when you're wrapped in a silence that speaks louder than any scream. When someone with reach, power, and fury decides you're off limits. See, your haters were playing checkers, loud, sloppy, convinced they were winning. But someone stepped in who plays chess, thinking several moves ahead, silent, precise, lethal. And now, the ones who were laughing are dodging questions. The ones who thought they ended you are now watching you shine even brighter. And the worst part for them? They can't stop it. Someone else is blocking every path they could have used to slander, twist, or retaliate. You don't even need to show up. Your rise is already being written for you. Every door they could have used to hurt you is now closed. Every path that once seemed open for them to stab you in the back is locked tight. Every tongue that tried to spit venom in your direction has been silenced, not by force, not by retaliation, but by exposure. Because the truth always wins, always. It doesn't matter how loud the lies were, how elaborate the schemes, how deep the betrayals ran. The truth clawed its way through, tearing apart their mask, and now they're left with nothing but each other. Scrambling, whispering, blaming, spinning in the same web of confusion they tried to trap you in. But guess what? You're not spinning with them. You're not lost in the chaos. You're grounded. You're focused, steady, even in the eye of the storm. And that someone who's been fighting for you, they're not done. Oh no. They're only just getting warmed up. They don't want your enemies to just be quiet. They want them to feel it. They want them to understand the weight of every action, every lie, every cruel word, to realize they crossed a line that can never be undone. They want them to know they picked the wrong target, the wrong soul to tear down. Because, let's be honest, you've been through too much to still be this solid. They thought they could shatter you like glass, crack you with whispers and manipulation. But you're forged from something deeper, something stronger. The very stuff they fear in themselves. Resilience, grit, gravity. And that's exactly what your protectors saw. They recognized your strength, felt it even when you doubted yourself. That's why they became loyal in ways that you'll never have to question. They're not here for show. They're not defending you for clout or convenience. They're not out here to post about it for likes or followers. They're standing up because it means something, because you mean something, because some people still understand true value when they see it. They're willing to burn bridges, cut ties, and raise hell to protect what they believe in. And baby, you are what they believe in. You, with the tired eyes and the unspoken pain. You, with the unbreakable spirit they couldn't replicate even if they tried. And the best part, the very best part, is that your haters still don't know who's doing it. They're paranoid, glancing over their shoulders, second-guessing their own teams, watching their trust collapse from within because someone from the inside stood up and said, "Not this one, not on my watch." And so the empire they tried to build on your downfall is crumbling piece by piece, lie by lie. Not because you fought back, not because you screamed or retaliated, but because someone who knew your worth fought for you when it mattered most. You know what eats them alive more than any punishment or silence? It's not the fallout. It's not even the damage. It's the fact that they don't know who's cleaning up your path like a battlefield medic with fire in their eyes. They can't name your protector. They can't trace the source. They're watching their manipulation collapse. Their whispers echo into nothing, and they don't even know where the damage is coming from. That's what makes it brutal. It's psychological warfare now. Because your enemies thrive on control, on predictability, on power plays and guilt traps. But right now, they have no map, no playbook, no leverage. And it's eating them from the inside. They're losing followers, credibility, influence. They're losing face, one crack at a time. Meanwhile, you haven't said a word. You haven't fought back. You haven't even acknowledged the battle. You're just out here, existing, healing, glowing without permission. And still, someone else is doing the dirty work for you, standing in the shadows, guarding you with a fierceness they don't even fully understand. Somebody is walking into rooms you'll never even dream of entering, making sure your name is respected, protected, and feared. They move through spaces where you're not present, where you don't belong, yet they carry your essence, your reputation, and your power with them like a shield. They're cutting through gossip, slander, and lies like it's nothing more than smoke, flipping the narrative with a simple sentence that changes everything. There's no theatrics, no elaborate warnings, no grand displays. It's all clean, precise, and effective. Just facts, just force, just presence. The kind of presence that silences manipulation before it takes hold. That exposes deception without anyone needing to raise their voice. You don't even realize how many fires have already been extinguished on your behalf. How many false stories have been stopped before they could spread. How many fake friends have been exposed while you sat quietly, unaware. How many smiles that once masked betrayal have been stripped away because someone else saw what you chose to endure in silence. The pain you never spoke of. The injustices you quietly absorbed for the sake of compassion or fear of confrontation. That someone didn't wait for you to ask. They didn't ask for permission. They saw the truth and acted. And that someone? They're relentless. They don't want apologies from your enemies. They demand accountability. They're not here for revenge or petty satisfaction. They're here for balance, for restoring what was broken, for making sure your name isn't dragged through the mud any longer. They're standing firm because they watched you suffer without complaint. They saw you give people second chances they didn't deserve, third chances you shouldn't have extended, opportunities that were squandered and used against you. They saw you defend the very people who later turned on you, who laughed behind your back and twisted your kindness into weakness. And they made a decision. If you won't protect yourself like you should, then I will. Now your enemies are walking on eggshells. They're afraid, uncertain, holding back not because you've threatened them, but because your silence is guarded by action they cannot predict or stop. Deep down, they know they had this coming. They know that somewhere, someone saw their lies, their manipulations, their cruelty, and chose to stand against it. That's why they don't fight back. That's why they retreat into shadows. Even they can't lie to themselves forever. They know what they've done. They remember every cruel jab, every smear campaign, every time they mocked your name just to elevate themselves. But now they feel small, shrinking, drowning in the very karma they once pretended didn't exist. And the person standing for you isn't just another ally. They're your avenger, one who's not here to play nice or appease anyone. They're not looking for forgiveness. They're not trying to smooth things over. They're not interested in appearing noble or reasonable. They're here for one purpose only: to restore the order your enemies tried to destroy, to make sure justice isn't delayed, and that power is returned where it belongs, with you. They aren't defending you for clout, for attention, or because it's convenient. They're acting because it matters, because you matter. Because some people still recognize true worth when they see it. They're willing to burn bridges, cut ties, and raise hell if it means protecting what they believe in. And baby, you are what they believe in. You, with the tired eyes and the quiet pain you never let show. You, with the unbreakable spirit that no matter how hard the world tried couldn't be shaken or cloned. They see you. Every struggle, every scar, every silent tear. They understand that you've been real from the start, even when others hid behind masks. That's what made them loyal in ways you'll never have to question. They don't seek recognition or reward. They simply act, because it's the right thing to do. And the best part? The very best part? Your enemies still have no idea who's doing it. They're paranoid now, second-guessing every alliance, every whispered conversation, every backhanded joke. They glance over their shoulders, fearing the unseen hand that's stripping their lies away. Trust collapses from within because somewhere inside their ranks, someone stood up and said, "Not this one. Not on my watch." The empire your enemies tried to build on your downfall is crumbling piece by piece, lie by lie. Not because you fought back, not because you screamed or retaliated, but because someone who knows your worth is standing guard, and doing it without ever needing to announce it. That's what makes it terrifying for them. They can't figure out who's behind it. They can't trace the origin of the damage. They're watching their manipulation collapse. Their whispers echo into nothingness. Their influence die quietly from within, and they have no idea how it's happening. What eats them alive more than any punishment or confrontation is the fact that they don't know who's cleaning up your path like a battlefield medic with fire in their eyes. They can't name your protector, they can't map the strategy, they can't even understand where the damage is coming from, let alone stop it. Every time they try to spin another lie, another smear, another trap, it's ripped apart by truth before it ever lands. And that's what makes it brutal. It's psychological warfare at its finest. Your enemies, addicted to control, to predictability, to power plays and guilt trips, are now spiraling into chaos. They live off the comfort of knowing how to manipulate others, how to guilt them into submission, how to twist narratives in their favor. But right now, they have no map, no playbook, no leverage, and it's eating them alive. They're losing followers, credibility, influence, piece by piece. Their alliances crumble. Their bravado fades. Their smirks disappear, all because they no longer know how to win. And meanwhile, you sit untouched, calm, composed, out here existing, healing, glowing without asking permission, without making noise, without defending yourself. And still, someone else is doing the dirty work for you, standing in the shadows, guarding you with a strength that can't be traced but is felt everywhere. A force that doesn't need applause, doesn't need validation, and doesn't need to explain itself. One day you'll look back and realize just how deeply this protection runs. How many battles were fought in silence? How many fires were put out before they could burn you? How many lies were dismantled without you ever lifting a finger? You may not understand it now, but one day you'll see. And when you do, you'll know that someone saw you when you couldn't see yourself. Someone chose to fight for you when you felt abandoned. Someone took up your cause without asking for glory, without seeking reward, simply because they believed in you when others pretended not to care. And that's what makes you unstoppable. Your enemies thought they were safe because you were quiet. They believed that silence meant weakness, that kindness made you vulnerable, that turning the other cheek was a sign of surrender. They thought you wouldn't react, that pain never touched you, that every insult and betrayal would slide off unnoticed. They mistook patience for passivity, endurance for helplessness, restraint for cowardice. They convinced themselves that because you didn't lash out, you simply didn't care. Because you didn't fight back, they assumed you had no fight left in you. But here's what they never understood. Kindness is not weakness, stillness is not surrender, silence is not submission. Sometimes silence is simply the space where strength is gathering itself. Sometimes stillness is the calm before the storm. Sometimes kindness is the last defense when every other option has been burned away. And that stillness, that quiet presence, is not the absence of power. It's the pause before it rises. Now that storm is here, but it doesn't come with your name. It doesn't shout your pain. It doesn't need your voice to declare itself. It carries the voices of others who saw your suffering, who felt your quiet struggle, who recognized your loyalty, your resilience, your integrity. It's powered by someone else's fury, not petty anger but righteous force. The one who stepped up for you didn't wait for you to ask. They didn't send you a message seeking approval or gratitude. They didn't announce their arrival or demand acknowledgement. They simply saw the injustice. They felt the weight of your pain, the way you absorbed every hurt, every betrayal, every slight without flinching. And in that moment, they made a promise. Not out of obligation, not for applause, but because it was the right thing to do. "Not on my watch," they said with unshakable resolve. "This person isn't looking to take credit. They're not seeking fame or recognition for being your champion. They're not about creating drama or feeding off the downfall of others. They're here because they understand the value of what you've endured. They don't need a reason beyond knowing that someone deserves protection. They're acting because loyalty isn't about words. It's about standing up when it matters most. They're correcting the imbalance that others took for granted. They're reminding the world that not everyone who's quiet is powerless, that not every soul who suffers alone is without support. Some are shielded by loyalty too deep to explain. Some are defended by forces unseen, by people willing to sacrifice comfort for the sake of what's right. And now your enemies are unraveling. Their lies are collapsing under the weight of truth they never anticipated. Their reputations, once carefully crafted to manipulate and control, are being stripped apart piece by piece. Their smiles, once smooth and calculated, are cracking at the seams. Every time they try to charm or deceive, it falls flat because the truth has already pierced their armor. Every alliance built on manipulation begins to fracture. The very people they tried to impress by mocking you are now watching, confused and unsettled. They wonder, why did they go after them? Who's protecting them? Why does it feel like the walls are closing in? Why can't we fight back? But there's no simple answer, because the one standing for you doesn't play by the rules they know. They don't seek permission. They don't ask for validation. They don't rely on scripts written by opportunists. They move through systems your enemies never learned to navigate, speaking truths in rooms where they can't even enter. Their influence is crumbling. Their confidence is slipping. Their sense of control, once taken for granted, is being dismantled without warning. They scramble to understand what's happening, but every attempt to spin or manipulate falls apart, because this battle isn't fought by conventional means. It's fought with precision, patience, and relentless loyalty. And while they fight shadows, you rise in clarity, grounded in strength you didn't even know you had. Your name, once whispered with mockery, is now spoken with reverence, with awe, with fear. It's becoming something more than just a name. It's becoming a prophecy fulfilled, a sign that resilience can't be broken, that quiet strength is louder than any scream. Have you ever noticed how those who tried to destroy you suddenly play the victim when they feel the heat of their own deeds? They twist their words, they cry misunderstanding, they pretend it's all an accident, but it's not confusion, it's consequence. It's what happens when people believe they can harm someone, tear them apart, and walk away untouched, convinced that no one will ever spin their world back around. But the world is spinning faster now, spiraling toward them with force they never imagined. Every circle it draws pulls them closer to the accountability they tried so desperately to avoid. And this reckoning isn't because you exposed them. You never had to. You never needed to scream, retaliate, or go on the attack. Someone else, someone who sees through every mask, every deception, every performance, has been doing the work you were too tired to do, too loyal to do, too kind to do. They've been fighting your battles quietly, shielding you from blows before you ever felt them, dismantling attacks before they ever reached you. They've been pulling apart lies that others built with care, turning them into dust, piece by piece. They've been guarding your dignity without ever needing to announce it. And while you continued to breathe, to heal, to exist without asking for attention, they fought relentlessly in the background. This is what makes their downfall so brutal. They can't name their enemy. They can't trace the force undoing them. They can't even understand how the walls they built with manipulation and deceit are crumbling from within. Every attempt to plot against you, every smear campaign, every sly whisper is being dismantled before it takes hold. Their tools of power no longer work because they're up against someone who doesn't play by the rules they understand. They're losing followers, credibility, influence, one by one. Their alliances crumble under the weight of their own lies. Their faces pale as the truth they ignored circles back around. Their carefully constructed narratives collapse because someone they never saw is pulling the strings with unrelenting purpose. And through it all you sit untouched, calm, composed, existing without apology, healing without fuss, glowing without asking for permission. You don't need to prove yourself. You don't need to react. You don't need to defend yourself because your protector is doing it for you. Their loyalty isn't performative, it's fierce and unwavering. Their commitment isn't about recognition, it's about justice. Their presence is quiet, but their impact is devastating. One day, when the dust settles, you'll look back and realize just how many battles were fought for you without you ever knowing. You'll see how many fires were put out before they could consume you. You'll understand how many lies were stripped away before they even reached your ears. And when that day comes, you'll finally realize that the storm you feared wasn't coming to destroy you. It was coming to shield you, to give you the space to rise, to protect you while you kept walking forward with quiet courage. You are more powerful than you ever imagined. Not because you shouted the loudest, not because you fought the hardest, but because someone out there stood in the shadows, ready to fight for you when you couldn't. And that's what makes you unstoppable. They've been holding up the receipts piece by piece, like evidence long buried but never forgotten. They've been unraveling the masks one layer at a time, pulling back the glossy facades and stripping away the false smiles that once hid rot and decay beneath. It's like peeling back layers of fruit that seemed ripe from the outside, only to reveal the mold, the worm-filled core that no one wanted to acknowledge. They've been laying it all bare. Each lie, each betrayal, each twisted manipulation laid out for all to see. And your enemies, they're scrambling now. They're desperate, trying to clean up the mess they once thought would stay hidden in the shadows, thinking no one would ever uncover their secrets. They're spinning, panicking, trying to plug the holes they themselves created, trying to make their past sins disappear before someone points a finger. But here's the truth they never grasped. When the battle is spiritual, no press release, no apology tour, no staged charity event, no cleverly crafted narrative can erase the damage. Because what's being torn down isn't their public image, it's their illusion. Their carefully woven stories, their false personas, their hollow relationships, their pretense of power. It's all unraveling. And illusions don't heal with makeup or manipulation. They dissolve into nothingness, leaving emptiness where they once stood. No amount of cover-up can fix what's already crumbling from within. And now they're watching you rise, still intact, still glowing, still silent. You don't scream, you don't retaliate, you don't need to explain yourself. You simply rise, and that's driving them insane. They thought they knew your worth. They thought they'd measured you, sized you up, discounted you, and they bet against you. They laughed, whispered, plotted, thinking you'd fold. But someone else saw differently. Someone who wasn't blinded by envy, ego, or the noise of gossip. Someone who saw beyond the surface, beyond your scars, beyond your quiet endurance, and placed their bet on you. And now, they're winning. They're the unseen hand in every room, the force that's changing the conversation. They're the reason your name is suddenly spoken with respect in places that once dripped with mockery. They're the reason people flinch, hesitate, or second-guess what they once said about you. Their eyes dart nervously when they remember the ways they tried to tear you down. Because deep down they know they crossed a line they shouldn't have. They know that you're not just a person to be trampled or dismissed. You're a line drawn in the sand, a boundary that should never have been crossed, and the most beautiful part, you didn't orchestrate any of it. You didn't plot revenge. You didn't scheme or strategize or craft a campaign of exposure. You simply kept walking, steady, composed, surviving in silence, showing up every day in your quiet power. And while you carried on, unaware of what was happening behind the scenes, someone else sharpened the sword. Someone else prepared the battlefield with precision, strategy, and love. They fought with truth. They fought with focus. They fought not for glory, but for you. Because you mattered when no one else noticed. They saw a value in your scars, strength in your silence, and danger in your calm composure. Yes, danger. Not because you're vengeful or out for blood, but because when someone like you heals, when someone who's been hurt chooses to rise rather than break, you become a threat. Not to the innocent, but to the dishonest, the cruel, the manipulative. You become a threat because you are unshakable. Because you are proof that pain doesn't define you, that resilience isn't a myth, that kindness isn't weakness. And they know it now. That's all for today. Dear Father, I pray for the growth of my faith. Help me trust you even when physical evidence is lacking. Let me believe in your perpetual presence, knowing you will never harm me. I understand that your thoughts for me are thoughts of prosperity and not harm, to give me a good future. Thank you, gracious and eternal Father, for always listening to my voice. I offer up this prayer to you in the name of Jesus. Amen. Thank you, Jesus, for your love and provision. I am grateful for your presence in my life and the abundance you bring. If this video resonated with you, please like, subscribe to the channel, and share it with those who need to hear this message. Leave a comment below about your journey and how you are preparing for your own triumphant return. If you'd like to support our work, please consider contributing through Buy Me a Coffee. This helps us continually improve our content to offer you the best. The link to Buy Me a Coffee is in the description. No gift is too small. Whether it's a penny, a prayer, or a share, your generosity helps spread God's word and brings hope to others. Don't stop here. Watch our next video for powerful revelations about the signs that reveal you are the chosen one. We've enjoyed following this spiritual journey with you. Thank you for staying with us until the end. Keep shining brightly and embrace your destiny with courage. See you next time. Blessings to all the beautiful souls from the Enlighten wisdom.